Yeah, thanks for taking the time to chat about the movie, man. I actually sat down and watched it with my folks last night, and we all really enjoyed it.
Hell yeah, dude. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Of course, yeah. I'm a little curious about like the writing process, like with Wes and Ben. Can you talk about how you developed the character and maybe like how you guys bounced ideas off of each other?
Yeah, I mean, we started, this all came from, Ben Kidnick had the basic idea of what if a guy was so annoying? What if a guy in a cult was so annoying, everybody killed themselves without him? And we, back in the day, did a short film with kind of just playing on that. We all had a really good time with it. And when Dark Sky approached Ben about it, we thought it was a great idea. And because it just Ben's on the West Coast, me in Western New York, but I was on the road a lot for stand up at the time. We really just kind of it was really a fun process in that we started with the big picture ideas. We started with a big outline, and then we beat out every scene, and then then we made the outline even more detailed, and then we would write individual scenes, and then we just kind of when we had a super detailed outline, we just got together. We locked ourselves in my apartment, and we basically wrote the first draft in like 4 or 5 days off that outline, and it was but throughout that was a series of Zooms. We met at least once a week for a while. And then when we got closer, we would meet multiple times a week. And yeah, we really let the idea breathe. And for us, it was really important to just kind of obviously jokes come first. I mean, that's my opinion on everything. Whatever I make will be joke heavy. But we wanted it to make sense as a movie. And we wanted to have an outline that we knew, okay, this roughly fits together as a movie. It's a real movie, and then we can fill it with jokes. And that was pretty much it. It was really cool to collaborate with them. They were much more organized, which I definitely needed, and it was just a great. It was awesome. I had a blast doing it. It was much more rewarding than I thought it was going to be. To be honest with you, I'm more of a performer, and so it was great to be able to actually write something for the first time.
Yeah, I guess that kind of to go off of what you just said, what does it feel like, to go through that entire process and then now the movie is going to be shown in theaters and then, soon after that, you're going to have a physical release with special features, that you can
Yeah.
actually physically hold and put on a shelf. Like, how does that feel like as a performer, as an actor, as a guy that normally kind of tours and doesn't really
Right.
have anything physical after the fact?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, it's really, I mean, we've gone to the premiere and we have a couple more screenings to do. We're Chicago tonight, we're going to Baltimore, my hometown, then we're doing a few in New York, where me and Wes live. And so it's weird to be honest with you. I'm not used to every time even the biggest shows, I have to actively be a part of the show, right? Like I've done, and so it that almost to me is easier because there's no time for worrying. You have to do it. And it was really surreal to watch the movie with an audience. And to be honest with you, not be able to make a tweak kind of pissed me off. Like I was like, fuck, I wish we could just switch the order of these jokes or do this or that. And even if it didn't work with my act, it's like, all right, I tried a couple times and then I figure out what works best. It's really strange to have your work just locked in and you just have to like do your best and then send it out into the world. So for that creatively, it was difficult for me and it's just something I have to get used to. And that just comes with learning and figuring out, hopefully there'll be chance to make more movies. So from that aspect, it's weird, but from like just being a fan of comedy movies, it's so incredible. Like stand up is I love stand up more than anything, creatively that's my thing. I'm never going to stop doing it, but the first media I ever fell in love with, the first comedy form of comedy I fell in love with was, these kinds of movies, just like a dumb maybe it was first sketches with these guys, but then I quickly wanted to find, Sandler's movies and, Chris Farley's movies and these like really sometimes very super likable but very stupid, kind of arrogant,
Yeah.
dumb. Like that's a really good recipe for a comedy, I think. And so it feels cool to be able to just make. the thing I loved when I was like 14, 15. My kind of entryway into comedy. I kind of got into it from movies and sketches and then into stand up. So it just feels really cool to like, and the fact that it's in a theater, I think comedies more than every other genre, like they really benefit from being with other people because laughs can be contagious and
Yeah.
there's a real energy and like a stirring drama. It's like you could be in a room with 200 other people. It's still probably going to affect you that kind of similarly in your living room. But when everybody's fucking dying and it's just like a communal experience, there's something great about comedy and horror has that too, obviously the scare, but like comedy is just like laughs build on themselves, and I think people just have a better time. So, I'm hoping people will see it. People will see it in theaters, and it feels fucking cool and really really surreal to be able to make something like that. I'm really really I feel incredibly happy and lucky for that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I love seeing comedy films with like a group. Horror is another one you mentioned, like with a group. But I like the way you broke it down with like drama. You can kind of experience it the same way. It doesn't really matter
Yeah.
where you are. With this film in particular, there's like elements of physical comedy. Especially from you and Chip, which I really loved. I found myself laughing the hardest at like the moments where you're just like running full speed.
Yeah.
As like a larger guy myself, like I really appreciated those moments. And on top of that, there's like a lot of dark satire. Was there a particular type of comedy that you wanted to emphasize with this film?
You know, it really it was just I mean it just comes back. I just come from the school of thought of it has to be packed with jokes and whatever opportunity. I mean, there's definitely some satire and like making fun of cults, but it was like let's do everything we can. Let's be funny in every way. And for me personally, that's a lot of what I was interested in with the movie because, like I said, I love stand up, but I do think it's a limiting art form. It's your jokes, and maybe it can be your spontaneous interactions with people, but ultimately, it's a guy saying words, right? And you can be a little more physical, but still compared to the visual control and the different images, like movies are about images, and I'm mainly a talking comedian. Even no matter even if I figured out how to make myself look funnier or like make a funny face, I really like the challenge of let's be as funny. I just came at it as let me be as funny as I can through a movie. Let me do the kinds of jokes I'm not able to do with stand-up comedy, and that's what I think. And again, I love physical comedy. Chris Farley, definitely a hero of mine. And I didn't realize how hard it would be and how fucking out of shape I was. That like sprinting really was like honestly the after the movie I was like I have to start working out because like I sprinted twice and I like needed to be iced down for like a day. You know what I mean? Like I was fucked up, dude. And so, but I looked at it as let's try everything I haven't gotten the chance to try in stand up. And there's a lot of kind of over the top scenes too, right? Like I just wanted it to be. I'm a simple man. I just wanted to be as funny as possible. So it was just what joke fits. And I do like when movies will hit you with I mean, comedy's about misdirection and not knowing what's coming. And in that, switching up the types of comedy you get, like I do think we do a range of jokes here, and I think I'm proud of that. And that was a goal. It wasn't necessarily do we want to do these types, but we wanted to do a lot of different ones. And just writing the script and doing the movie, it just became clear what we had room for, basically.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It was oftentimes like it would catch me off guard, almost to the point where not only was it funny, but it was jarring, and then it was jarring
Right,
because it was funny, which
right.
it was so cool, and just to kind of see it all come together was really neat. This movie, I want to mention this because I think this is really interesting. Takes place in the early 2000s. How did the rest of the team work to capture the essence of that era? And it definitely helps with the humor and the tone, but could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of dumb. We made this movie as hard as possible on ourselves because it's like we didn't have that much money, dude. Like it's a pretty low budget movie, and we were like, nah, we need a lot of locations, and it has to be a period piece. And it's like, don't get me wrong, it's a light period piece, but still, we had to get cars from the time, and we had to like be very careful about, no cell phones being anywhere. And I think it was just that was another one of those things that there's a lot of almost like happy accidents with the movie where, even cults. I think cults are a great opportunity for humor because you don't get more confident and delusional than a cult member. Like you just don't. That's and that's great comedy comes from it. But it's not like we loved cult. It's not like any of us were obsessed with cults. We just thought pretty funny. Let's try it. Same thing with the 2000s. We just thought it would be a fun since it was a cult, we just thought it'd be fun to be like, oh, they're a Y2K cult. It just kind of immediately grounds you. But we lost that element kind of. We didn't really emphasize it. But I think you're right in that as we were going along, it was like this happy accident where it's like this is kind of an homage to movies from the 2000s and like from the or late the mid 90s to that era. And it ended up working really nicely. And yeah, shout out to our team. Like, I mean, we had so many people working so hard. Our costume people, the art direction. I mean, we got so lucky, not only in our cast, but like in the crew that we got because it was low budget, but we had from cast to crew, we got very talented people who were just like needed an opportunity to make a movie, and we just got lucky, dude. I mean, honestly, our costume people, the set decorations were fucking incredible, and they did it with not a lot of money, and so everybody just kind of worked a little harder. Like I have no business being the lead of a movie. You know what I mean? Like, but like you said, I had to write it with my friends. I had to executive produce it. And I think a lot of people were like that. Where we had a lot of talented people just trying to do one. Everyone was like trying to do one job more than they were qualified for, and we just got again lucky with how much talent we were surrounded by. And so, it was just like so cool. And that's another thing I learned is like this shit is fucking hard. There's a lot of people have to be on the same page. And it turned out great. I'm so happy with how it turned out. But yeah, we could have just set it in today and we wouldn't have to worry about any of that shit. But we made it a little difficult on ourselves. We pulled it off.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I want to kind of expand on that a little bit. Like you mentioned like the cast and the crew. This is a strong ensemble cast of comedians. Like it's like a who's who of your comedian's favorite comedian. What was the dynamic like on set? And did that make it a little more challenging having that much, I guess, humor around you or that much talent in all reality?
No, I mean, that was easy. What the hard part was, I felt bad because everyone again was overqualified,
Yeah.
but me was overqualified. You know what I mean? Like it was like we had a movie that if you look at the cast, I think almost everyone, all the comedians, like a lot of the cast is comedians, people that could have been the star of their own movie or had a huge role in this movie. We had to cut a lot of funny stuff. The difficulty was in like leaving it on the floor, but no, that just made my job so much easier. I mean, dude, I just wanted to make a good movie. I don't really have an ego about the whole thing. I'm not really trying to, I'm like, how dare anyone? I have to be the funny one. I don't come from that school of, I just wanted, this was like I want this to be as fucking funny as possible. And we had so many funny people. I mean, every time Daniel Simonson or Eric or Katie, like they got, they were just killing. And we were so, and then even the people that weren't in our main cast, Bobby Kelly, who's one of he really helped me along in my career, but is one of the funniest comedians and a really, really gifted actor. Zuri Salahuddin, who was in an incredibly funny show, Southside, I was just watching Southside while we were writing the movie, and I was like, that girl's fucking awesome. We got to get her in it. Joe Pera. I mean, in our original cult, has so many talented people. Edie Monica, who was just in where they tricked that fucking dumb at jury duty. You know what I
Oh yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
so that was awesome. And the only downside was because we were on such a tight timeline and budget, we didn't get a chance to like fuck around and improvise and like we kind of didn't use all the talent we had to the maximum, and I wish we had more of an opportunity for that. But it was awesome, man. I love. And one thing I really love about movies that I didn't even think about was how much of a team it feels like. And because stand up is so individual, and definitely some of my best friends are other stand ups, and we talk about it and we talk about gigs and like, oh, this club sucks, this guy's awesome, whatever. But you feel like golfers, you know what I mean? Like, whereas like, it's just ultimately you're kind of competing against the course and you're trying to do as good as you can, but you're by yourself. Whereas this really felt like a team, and I fucking loved it. I love being around funny people. I love being able to collaborate with it, and it's a reason I really want to do more. It's like this feels communal. I'm lucky enough to have a part on Tires, and I felt the same way there, where it's like you're just around such funny people, and you get to learn from each other and play and just like kind of fuck around and find the funny thing, and everyone's trying to make everybody else look good. I love that, and that's kind of the like that's what I want to create. That's what I want to, I've been lucky enough to get a little fan base here online somehow. And that's what I want to use it on is to like, let's make some fun movies where everybody is having a fucking awesome time. Sandler's my hero in a lot of ways. Like, not only did I grow up watching his shit, but it's like, the way he lives looks awesome. Go to a cool location and be with your fucking friends and make funny movies. That would be a dream come true.
Well, and this is the first step, you mentioned tires. I just want to say congratulations on that. And then also, Kill Tony, you were one of the most requested guests.
Oh,
So
yeah, sure.
very cool stuff, man. Before we wrap up, I just kind of want to let you talk about what you hope audiences take away from this film. I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head just a moment ago, but I think that this is the beginning of Stavros Nation, man. I think that this is going to be the first of many films. Adam Sandler, look out! Here we go.
Yeah, man. Look, I don't know. Also those guys work too hard. I'm fucking lazy compared to Chandler, and even Shane too. Like I watch how he's on set every fucking day, and I'm like, I kind of like popping in just half the time. But what I want from the film is just what I want people to take away is like, look, this is just funny. And like comedy, I'm not of the belief that comedy has to fucking teach less. There will be no lessons from this movie. You will not be smarter when you leave. You will not be thinking about anything deeper. You will have it's also just under 90 minutes. That was important. You don't have to fucking waste your whole day. You don't have to plan your whole evening around seeing this movie. Tight 90 minutes full of jokes. You're there to have a good ass time, and that's it. That's what I want people to get out of it. I want them to see it in theaters because I think it's important that comedies come back in theaters. I think people really like comedy, and I think you mentioned Kill Tony and even Shane, and like to my career to some extent, it's like most of my career has happened outside of mainstream sort of media stuff, and you see the groundswell of support for comedy podcasts and comedy shows and even comedy TikToks and on every level. And I really want people, look, if this is your kind of thing, if you were like me, I made a movie that I would want to see. And it's just a stupid movie with over the top jokes. That's it. And if that's what you like, please support it. You know what I mean? Like just
Yeah.
I not just for me, like I think if like a low budget comedy makes people money, unfortunately, we live in a capitalist society where we got to make richer people more money if we're going to be able to create art. And so go out there, support. Please go see it in theaters if that's the kind of thing you like. And if you want a stupid comedy, I'm committed. I will make dumb comedies that are under 2 hours for the rest of my life if they let me. And that's all I want to do, man.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I always get pissed off when they're like 2.5 hours. Judd Apatow, we get it, bro. Like we
I
get
know, I know. We need a little
it.
editing, brother. They're good. They're good movies, but chop a little something off. And that was a big thing. I wanted this to be shortest. We wanted this. Me, Ben, and Wes were like, got to be under 90.
Well, I love it, man. Here at CineDump, we let the doers know how they're doing. Stavros, you were doing just fine. Thank you so much for your time, buddy. I can't wait for the next one. I know you got Dance Freak in pre-production right now, so
Yeah, yeah. That was a fun little. That was a fun. I already shot my thing. That's my friends. They're out of their minds. These guys, and I played a small role in it. That's really fun. And yeah, I got some other stuff cooking that we'll be
yeah.
hopefully be able to talk about pretty soon. But yeah.
All
Hopefully
right.
this leads to more stuff. But I appreciate you having me on, and talk to you next time, bro.
Yeah, keep writing, man. I love your voice. So just keep these fucking films alive.
Hey,
I'll go see them in the theaters. You keep making them. Talk to you later, bud.
man. Hey, bro.